Hi, welcome to this video. Are you looking to figure out the broad areas of specialization that exist in the finance stream so that you can select one from them to pursue your career? If that is the case, then this video is for you. In this video, we'll have a look at a broad overview of the various roles that are available for you to pursue as your career. Now, in this case, I'm going to cover only the pure finance roles. There are a lot of allied roles which are also under the broad finance and accounts area, but only the pure finance related roles are getting covered in this one. That itself is a large stream, and the way we will try to go about it is that any finance transaction involves exchange of money, and it involves two counterparties which exchange money. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at the different types of transactions that are there, and therefore who are the two counterparties, and those two counterparties end up being the roles that you can pursue. So we will go transaction by transaction and then look at the roles that are available. That will give a better sense of what roles exactly I am referring to. It will be easier, a lot more easier to explain. And as you're seeing, I'm going to use a few slides to be able to explain it a little better. So let's get started. Now, the first very common type of transaction that you can think of is borrowing by a corporate from a financial institution, right? So in this case, what happens is that a company who is sort of requiring funds for its growth will borrow from a financial institution. Now, on the financial institution side, there are three possibilities. It can either be a bank, or it can be a non-bank or an NBFC. And thirdly, it can be a mutual fund. If it is in the form of a capital market instrument, then it's a mutual fund. And by that, what I mean is non-convertible debentures or bonds or commercial papers. Mutual fund lends to a corporate in the capital market format, while the bank and NBFCs will give loans to a corporate, right? So let us have a look at the roles that are available in this transaction. We will see the roles on both the sides. So let us have a look at the roles which are available on the financial institutions side first, since we went through the list of financial institutions. The first one is relationship managers. Now, in any organization, there will be relationship managers who will sort of maintain the relationships with clients and do the activity of generating sales for the financial institution. That is the role of relationship manager. The second role will be that of credit assessment, which you can see here. In credit assessment, the credit teams will basically analyze the financial statements or the financial status of these organizations to whom loans are to be given. So sales or relationship managers will get the leads, and the credit assessment teams will do the assessment based on how the company's performance has been over the past few years, and take a call on whether or not a loan is to be given, and if it is to be given, what quantum of loan can be given. That's the role of a credit assessment team. Now, the third one is the investments team, which is more relevant from a mutual fund perspective, and therefore it will involve an element of credit assessment and the actual investment into the bonds of the company. That is the role of investments. So that is what we saw on the financial institution side. Now, corresponding roles, there have to be people or roles on the corporate side to be able to take care of that. So on the corporate side, the borrowings may be of two types. One is borrowing which is required in the short term. So for taking care of the daily funding requirements, the corporate may borrow from the bank, or the corporate may borrow from the mutual fund in the form of commercial papers. So to take care of this borrowing activity, which is short term or less than 1 year borrowing, there is a team which looks at working capital borrowings. That is one role in a corporate. The other role is that the corporate might want to borrow long term. Now there are slight differences in the way these two are done, and therefore typically these tend to be done by different teams. So there will be a team in the corporate which will look at the long term borrowings. So that is the other role on the borrowing front that you have in a corporate. So as far as a borrowing transaction is concerned, these are the various roles that are possible on the corporate side and on the financial institution side. I hope that's making sense. Okay, now before we go to the next type of transaction, for doing any borrowing, a corporate really requires to get that borrowing rated, and rating agencies give basically on a scale that is already predefined how good or bad the company is doing and how creditworthy the company is. something which can give comfort to the investor, the mutual fund investor, or the bank to be able to decide whether or not it should give a loan. This is like a third party assessment of the company that is used by the bank or the financial institution to be able to take a call on lending to the corporate. Okay, now rating agencies will also typically end up doing a lot of financial analysis, interact with this borrower and try to make projections for this company and make a sense on how comfortable or how risk free the borrowing of this company is likely to be. And based on their scale of rating, the financial institutions get their comfort and then they decide to lend or not to lend. So that's the rating agency, which is another organization in itself, and that's the role which a rating agency will typically have. Now, like we saw that there are corporates who are doing the borrowing, there can be individuals instead of corporates who are doing the borrowing, which will be something like home loans, car loans, personal loans, and so on. So on this side, there is no role available on the corporate because it is individual, there is no organization. But the same roles are available on the financial institution side, which is relationship managers, credit assessment, and so on. So the roles on the financial institution side remain as they are, while the lending happens to an individual instead of a corporate. So that individual's credit assessment will have to be done, business or sales pitch will have to be made to an individual, and so on. Let us now move to another type of transaction. We saw borrowings. Now let us have a look at the investment type of transaction, and this is all from the corporate perspective. Borrowing was for the corporate, by the corporate, and investment will also be by the corporate. We are looking at this from a corporate perspective. When I'm talking about the transaction type, I'm referring to the transaction from the corporate perspective. It will be the other way around for the financial institution or the mutual fund, naturally, because he is a counterparty. But my references are with respect to the corporate. So here we are looking at investment by a corporate, and typically corporate will end up making a lot of investments of its temporary surplus available funds into mutual funds. Okay, so on the mutual funds side, again, there are relationship managers who will keep in touch with the various corporates and explain them the various schemes that are available from their side and which will match their criteria of return expectation, so on and so forth. So maintain the relationship and generate sales. That's the relationship manager's role in general in any organization, and that's what they will do in the mutual fund as well. Of course, the mutual fund has credit assessment and investment teams, as we saw before. So this is the same role as earlier, but what I want to highlight on this one is that there will be an investments team in the corporate which will really evaluate the various mutual funds that are there, either debt or equity products. That will depend on what is the investment or treasury policy of the corporate, but the investment team will sort of shortlist the funds they can invest into based on the policy of the company, and then make these investments and also make the exits from these investments. That is the role that investment teams typically will have in a corporate. Now, while we have seen this credit assessment and investments in the earlier slides, just to complete the picture, what the mutual fund will do is that we'll get these monies, which is an investment from the corporate side, and that money will then be invested into, if it's a debt mutual fund, then those monies will be invested into corporate bonds or commercial papers of other corporates to be able to generate the return for this particular investment. So that is investment by a corporate into mutual fund. Let us now have a look at another type of transaction. So far we have been looking at the debt side of it. Okay, so corporate has borrowed or corporate has invested temporarily, the money will come back to it. Then there is an equity fundraise by a corporate. Equity is permanent capital. So here the company will issue share capital to its investors, and here on the corporate side there will typically be a team which will engage into fundraising activity on the equity side, meaning issuance of share capital which will dilute the existing promoters shareholding into that entity. Very critical. So there will typically be a team which will look at equity fundraising in any corporate, especially when the company is going for an IPO or the company is going for a QIP. These teams will come into action. Now, whenever the company is raising equity, there will have to be obviously an investor on the other side who will put in the money and get the share capital. So you will typically have mutual funds, you will have private equity funds, or any long-term investor for that matter. There may be various categories there, but there will be investors who will make long-term investments. They will analyze the company and its future growth potential and take ownership into that company by putting in their money. So analysis of a company from the growth side, a very thorough analysis of the company from the growth side, long-term future of the company is what is done by teams in these entities, mutual funds, private equities, or other investors who will put in equity money into these companies when equity fundraising happens. All right. Now, after a company goes for an IPO, company gets listed, on the corporate side especially, you need a team called investor relations team, which will be in constant touch with the larger investors or the major investors of the company and sort of give them an update every quarter or half yearly or on an yearly basis as to what is happening in the company, what are the future opportunities that the company is targeting, and how is the profitability of the company, what are the key challenges that the company is facing, and so on. So the investors really keep getting updates on how their investment is doing into that company through their interactions with the investor relations team, which is here. So that's another role on the corporate side, which comes into play especially for listed companies. Okay, so with that, now we have seen roles on both the counterparty sides, which is either on the borrower side or the corporate side, and the investment side. Okay, so which is in the form of financial institutions, or mutual funds, banks, NBFCs, and so on. So we've seen the roles in both of these sides. There are typically advisors or intermediaries who will be there in between, who will advise either the bank or the corporate, typically on the corporate side. And we will have a look at the roles on these in these intermediary organizations now. So for these same transactions that we have already seen, there are counterparties and there are advisors who will not be directly involved in the money exchange that happens, but they will advise one of the parties in that money exchange, and therefore they are in advisory roles. They will earn fee for the transaction on which they have advised, typically percentage of the value of the transaction. And let's have a look at the advisory roles now. So whenever there is a fundraise by a corporate, either debt or equity, there can be an equity. If there is an IPO or a QIP, there will be investment banks, capital market teams in investment banks who will get involved in advising the corporate, and their main role will be to advise the corporate about the fundraising strategy, how they should go about, which are the investors that they can tap, what kind of interest rates they can expect if it's a debt transaction. If it's an equity transaction, what kind of valuations for the company can they expect, who are the investors they can approach or they have relationships with. And they sort of get a mandate from the corporate and go and approach the investors and try to place the equity or the debt such that this transaction becomes possible. Their job is to make the transaction possible as an intermediary by connecting the corporate side and the financial institution side. Okay, so that's the advisory role. In debt, a lot of advisory role on the debt side is taken care of by the banks only. There are teams in the banks who will take care of this debt advisory, capital markets kind of roles. And equity advisory is done by capital markets teams in investment banks. There are separate teams in investment banks who look at IPOs, QIPs, and other fundraising opportunities. Alright, now in investment banks, there is another division who looks at only listed stocks. So there is an equity research role, which will be again in the investment bank only. After the company gets listed, there are equity research analysts who are also a part of the investment bank only. This is a separate division typically in investment banks, which will sort of research the companies which are listed, identify the good companies. They interact with the company's management and identify future potential for the company, and they'll identify which companies are expected to do well, and they will write research reports on these listed companies with their view on how the company will do in the future. And then those reports can be used by investors to make their decision on investing further into the company. Since it's a listed company now, there will be shares trading in that entity. So investors take a call on making an investment into the listed company based on the research reports done by these equity research analysts. So that is the equity research role. And then there is typically an equity sales team also in the same investment bank structure I talked of. Equity sales team will basically use this research report, which is created by equity research analysts, and they'll go to the investors and make a pitch that this is a good company, why don't you look at investing into this company? Here is the report which is done by our research analysts. If you want, you can of course have a conversation with the research analyst to get a better sense of it. These are really good stocks and you will make good returns in the near term. Why don't you have a look at these? And then there is a broking team in the same investment bank structure. So what the equity sales team will typically do is that they will say, make an investment into these companies and do the trade through us. We will facilitate the trade and we will earn some broking fee. So in this entire structure, typically the objective will be to earn some broking fee and possibly some advisory fee also by giving recommendations. Okay, now let us have a look at a different kind of transaction, which is an M&A transaction. One corporate can acquire other corporate, or a fund can acquire stake into a corporate. These are typical M&A type of transactions which can happen. Now there will be roles on each of these organizations when these kind of transactions happen. There is an intermediary involved here as well, which is an investment bank, and there will be an M&A advisory role in an investment bank in such kind of transactions, who will sort of facilitate this transaction. Depending on who he is representing, he will introduce the transaction to the other party, explain the positives of this transaction, and then sort of help with the valuation, get both of them together on the valuation and try to get this deal done. And M&A advisory again these teams get a fee based on the transaction value. So their entire job is to make the transaction done in such a manner that it is a win-win situation for both the corporate as well as the investor. On the corporate side, which is this side, there will be typically M&A teams who will look at these transactions from their perspective. While there are advisors to advise on making the transaction, the corporate internally needs to form its own view as to whether this transaction is worth doing or not, and they will make their own assessment of the transaction. If they're on the selling side, now in this case the way this is represented, this is the seller and this is the buyer. This buyer can also be a corporate in some cases, or it can be a fund. Now on the seller side, the M&A team will have to take a call as to whether the valuation at which the sale is happening is appropriate. So they'll build their own financial model, they'll sort of do their own analysis of the value of the asset being sold, and then they will use that to negotiate with the buyer. And on the buyer side, which is this side, the team may be called as an investment team because they're making an investment, a long-term investment into the entity that is being purchased. So they will again run their own financial models and try to get a sense about the future of the company, how the industry is in which the company is based, and so on and so forth. So they'll try to again form their view of the valuation of the company and then negotiate the valuation on that basis. Okay, so that's all about the M&A kind of a transaction. Now in large organizations, there is one other typical kind of role which is looked at by a separate team, and hence there is a role per se, and let us have a look at that. That is typically called as the risk management role. So corporates have a lot of risks that they need to manage, especially large corporates. If they are MNCs, there are international transactions, then there are foreign exchange transactions, and there is a risk which is involved based on the movement in the foreign exchange rates, because if there are imports or exports in another currency, if that currency fluctuates, then there is a possibility that either the revenue or the cost side of the corporate get impacted, and therefore foreign exchange risks need to be managed carefully, especially for entities involved in international transactions. And the same is the case for commodities as well. Commodity prices keep fluctuating, and therefore once you've taken a project, you need to ensure that you procure that commodity that is going to be a raw material for you at the least possible price, and ensure that it doesn't happen that you've taken a project assuming certain commodity cost, but by the time you're actually procuring that commodity, the prices have doubled. Then you will end up incurring losses in those kind of orders. So managing foreign exchange and managing commodity risks are also very important, and therefore there are separate teams who look into this activity. Okay, on the corporate side. And corresponding to that, to take care of that hedge, it is typically done with the help of a financial hedge with a bank, where the prices get frozen or the foreign exchange rates get frozen vis-a-vis some market standard. So there will be teams in the banks or financial institutions who will form views on these either foreign exchange rates or commodity movements, and based on those views they will execute transactions which are typically called as hedge transactions with the corporate, which will help the corporate to take care of its risk, but on the bank side you will make some money by sort of taking these views on the commodities or the foreign exchange. And on the banking side, like usual, there will be relationship managers who will sort of reach out to the corporates and try to understand their requirements, and then they will execute transactions with the corporate. So those are the roles on both the sides as far as risk management is concerned. Okay, so those are broadly the different types of transactions, different types of roles that are available on both the counterparty side and with the advisories. So I hope this has given you a broad overview of the various roles that are available in finance as a specialization. If you have any specific questions, you can of course write in the comments in this video. And if you wish to reach out to me, you can have a look at the details in the description of this video. And good luck to you in making your choice, and best wishes for a good career as well. Bye-bye.